What's going on, Amy? How can I help?
Well, I would like some guidance on how I can express my concern to my sister about her rapidly advancing relationship.
Her rapidly advancing relationship. So is she in love with somebody that you don't like?
Yes, but there's a lot of details surrounding it that are highly concerning to me.
Okay, go for it.
Well, she discovered in February that her husband of 9 years was having an affair, and by the end of the month, she had made contact with new people and found a person from her past that she didn't really know well, but over 15 years ago, she knew this person. And within a week, they had met again. We live on opposite sides of the country. So she flew across the country to meet this person. And then within a week or a week and a half after that, they're professing love for each other. And he's planning to move in with her. And she has 2 small children, and he's going to move all the way back across the country to go move in with her and her children. And I'm just like, and my husband and I met him also, and all of our sirens are going off that this is not a person we trust.
Hey, this guy won the lottery, man. Some old girlfriend reached out to him and is like, "Hey, you want free rent and me?" And he was like, "Okay, yeah, this worked out great for him, huh?"
Right. And he's 8 or 9 years older than her. He seems kind of a mess. He rents an apartment with some other person who kind of seems to want him out. And then my sister comes in, and I don't even, last I talked to her, she still hadn't filed divorce papers yet. But her current husband has already moved out, and so she's just ready to move this guy right in.
Yeah.
And, of course, being the sister that I am, I went down to the courthouse and looked up his records, and I didn't find things that were great. And I even discovered a lawsuit where he was sued for basically not getting out of a place. I don't know the details surrounding, but all of it's very concerning. And she has a 2 and a 4-year-old. And I don't want her to think that I am not happy for her. I'm worried if I say something, or I don't want to say something wrong, where he'll tell her, manipulate her, and make her think, oh, they're just jealous of our love, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Wow, that's a mess. How long was your sister married for?
I think about 9 years.
Okay. Yeah, you said that. So how good is y'all's relationship?
I think it's really good. We're really close.
So when you've kind of hinted around this or asked really? What is this what we're doing? How has she responded?
I've raised a few concerns. She's kind of in a mode where she's not like herself. She's very much like a different person, and I think she just thinks it's hard for people to understand. So she's okay, it's really hard for people to wrap their minds around, the fact that I'm in love and I've got this fairy tale man, and and I'm I don't know, I don't think that's so.
Man, okay, so here's a couple things I would throw out for her sake, and then. I'll give you some of my thoughts here. I'm smiling because everyone who falls in love, especially after a heartbreak or a tragedy, they look around and it's so intoxicating that they think everyone else is crazy. And it's so hard because as someone who loves someone in that situation, we often just have to ride it out, right? And it's so painful because you know how it's going to end. You know how it's going to end, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes I give people a pass on the quick turnaround time after something like this. And here's why. There are chances that her marriage has been dead for years.
Yeah.
And it may have, or been on life support for years. And so she may have had 1 foot, one half of her heart, 2 feet out the door and not even realized it for a long, long time. And then it just takes something like this big reveal, which she may have known about, maybe not intellectually, but she knew it in her soul, or she did know about it, or she just blindsided, right? Which makes this a super trauma. The whole thing's traumatic regardless, but it may have been dead for a long time. So often when we see this is different than somebody passes away in a car wreck, right? Where it literally just snap your fingers is over. This may have been running for a long time. That still doesn't make this wise at all, right? So my question for you is, what is your or what statement here. So let's say you get the courage, and it would be hard, right? You get the courage, you go sit down with her, you look her in the eye and say, I think you're making a terrible mistake. Absolutely bonkers, terrible mistake. And she says, I hate you. You're the worst sister ever. You've never loved me or supported me. In fact, my husband cheated on me because of your fault. I mean, just all the stuff she could throw at you. What is your or what statement? Are you going to disassociate yourself from her? Are you going to back down from her? Or are you just feeling powerless right now because you're going to still love her? She's still going to be your sister. You're still going to hang out with her. And you're just watching a slow motion car wreck. Which one of those is it?
It's definitely the latter.
Okay. So you don't have like an or what or if then statement.
No.
Okay.
No.
So if somebody's at a point where I'm about to draw a real firm boundary that I know might really impact this relationship in a negative way, that's one conversation. This conversation's a little bit different. It's a little bit easier and a little bit harder for you. Okay? Here's my recommendation. I would take her out somewhere and get her to tell you about this guy. Why is he so wonderful? And you can ask the gentle questions about, this seems super fast, and I'm concerned and I love you. And then the final statement, I learned this from one of my counseling professors, Dr. Hendricks, and I love it, which is, I'm worried about you and your future, but you're a grown-up, and I want you to know I'm going to be here when things are great. I'm going to be here when things are hard, and I'm going to be here if things completely fall apart. Mm-hmm. And I'm always going to be concerned for those kids. And so if you ever need anything, let me know. And what that does is it rings a bell for some folks that you're not trying to judge them, that you are literally walking alongside them and you just recognize that they let your hand go. And some folks are like, okay, whatever, dude. But then they remember that when things fall apart, and it may be 2 months, 3 months, 7 months, or 7 years, but that you will be the first call they can make. And beyond that, there's not a lot you can do, which is really, really scary. Do you think this guy is unsafe for those kids, or does he just look like a bum?
I don't know. I wouldn't let him around my children. So
okay,
I don't feel
why not?
that he's safe.
Why not? That's a bold
well, we
statement.
had told her that if they come and visit, he was going to move in. Then they were, because she lives in Arizona, I'm in North Carolina.
Oh, so you're far apart. Okay.
Right. So, and he lives here in North Carolina, so he's moving out there with her. So they had talked about coming to visit this summer. We said, of course, he can stay with us. But then after we met him, I can't put my finger on it. But both my husband and I were like, we can visit with him. We can have a cookout with him. He is not staying in our home. And we're not generally closed off like that, but we have 4 kids. And I'm like, I wouldn't trust him near my children. And so
what is it? What's the thing? What's the thing? I 1,000% trust your intuition here, right? I never push back on this intuition, but I'm wondering, what is it?
I think part of it, there's something about his essence or something. And part of it is the control he's been able to, kind of exert over my sister and make her very different. And she's my older sister. She's always been responsible, very financially independent, very intelligent. And he's had this effect on her. And she's behaved differently around her own children, when I hear her talk to them. And it's just concerning that what could happen in that home now that boyfriend's kind of the center and the obsession. I just worry, I don't know. I'm like, would they be taken care of? Could he hurt them? So my mom signals are going crazy.
Yeah, and all the things you just said are the answer is yes. He could hurt them. And if their mom is, I love the word, he's a drug right now, right? She's grieving. He's a drug. And if mom is willing to do drugs with kids in the house, then yeah, he could hurt him. He's going to have access. So yes, as her sister, as a responsible citizen, right? As their aunt, yeah, you got to keep that antenna up, to make sure that they're safe and that you're not hearing anything bonkers or weird. And they're so little and so young, right? It's not like you can call them on a side conversation like if they were teenagers. Right. So based on that, I might have a little more direct conversation with her, a little harder conversation about, hey, what are you doing? This is not smart and not wise. And maybe tell her, I love you so much, I'm willing to cause a rift in our relationship right now, but this is not smart and not wise and not safe. You don't know this guy, and moving in is too soon, too fast. Right? You could try that. It's probably not going to work. It's probably going to be messy. But at least when this thing starts getting, the rails start coming off, she'll know that you love her. But again, sometimes if you make yourself so unsafe, she'll feel like she's got no one to call, right? But we are just, so I'm more interested in a long-term relational play here. But yeah, at the end of the day, you can't do anything about this. That's the hard part. You can have a gentle conversation. You can have a flexed conversation. You can have an angry, I'm the aunt of these kids. I don't trust this guy. Something about him is not ringing true to me. It's not safe. What are you doing? Any three of those situations may work. They probably won't. And what you're going for now is a long-term relational play, like I said, so that she reaches out to you when things go sideways, which they probably will. And if you ever get a hint, an inkling, any sort of, as you said, I love it, any sort of essence that the kids aren't safe, that they aren't doing okay, that they're being neglected, that they're being treated bad, you call every alarm that you know. You call every person, every community member, every police officer, you call everybody, and make sure those kids are safe and taken care of. Okay? I hate this for you and your family. This is hard. This is a mess. Stay with your sister and make sure that she knows that you love her, and take care of yourself. Because this is going to get heavy. So you and your husband, instead of sitting over there just having all these judgment conversations, that guy sucks and what's she doing? Check in with each other. Hey, how are you doing on this? Because I know this is hard. I know you love your sister. And give each other spaces to be frustrated. Give each other spaces to be sad and to grieve this. And then to go about controlling things you can control. And you can't control knuckleheaded older sisters for sure. Thank you so much for that call, Amy.